Hey Darryl, what can you tell me about the steam engine?
Well, I'm really a fan of steam locomotives. They bring back a very strong memory for me. And two of my favorites are what's called camels or camelbacks. And the terms are used interchangeably, but technically there is a difference. The camel locomotive has the cab on top of the boiler. The camelback, on the other hand, has the cab astride the boiler. Okay, so it's actually down over. And
So being on top of the boiler, wouldn't it create a lot of heat inside there?
It did. It got very hot in there, especially in hot weather. But the idea was to put the weight over the drive wheel so you get better traction. And back in the 1840s, that was an important concept. They needed that weight needed to be able to pull more cars. So in the 1840s, a fellow by the name of Ross Winans came up with the Camel locomotive or camelback. And like I say, we use the terms interchangeably, but real sticklers get into the technical details. Now, in this case, this is called a camel, and you notice the size of the fireman's roof here. It doesn't cover the entire back of the locomotive. Over here, this is called a camelback or a Mother Hubbard. It's also referred to as a Mother Hubbard. And its fireman's roof over here covers the entire back of the locomotive. Now, the reason is that a fellow by the name of John Wooten was a general manager for Pennsylvania Reading Railroad back in the 1870s. And in 1877, they were hauling a lot of coal out of the mines in Pennsylvania, but it was the anthracite coal that people used in their houses to heat their homes. And before it could be shipped, it had to be cleaned. So they actually washed the coal. When they did, it produced a lot of very fine dust and small flakes. And it was just piling up outside the mines there. As much as 20% of the production was from the comb that they called it. And John Wooten wanted to figure out a way to use that. So he kept experimenting, found out that with a wide firebox that covered the entire back of the locomotive, it would burn very efficiently with very little smoke. That made it very positive for a passenger train. And so they were running passenger trains out in the 1870s, 80s, 90s at 90 miles an hour. Now, another interesting thing about the camels or camelbacks or center cab locomotives is that the ICC actually banned them. They outlawed them in 1921. Later, they banned them completely. The Baltimore, Ohio employees called them snappers because if the rods would ever snap, it would come right up through the floorboard to the engineer. So they were unsafe in that respect. I don't know how often that happened, but it was a concern. And even though they were banned in 1927, they were continued to use up into the early 1950s.